have they done?
Okay, we're going to go and get started. This is the WiscWeb brown bag for August 2017. Hopefully people are online or watching or watch it later. We have 5 items on the agenda today. Could take a variable amount of time, but there will probably also be time for plenty of questions. If you have those, feel free to ask as we go on. So we have an update on Google search, which is very interesting. This is a Google change that we found out last week and we're still dealing with. That not only affects us, but the rest of campus. Update on WP data tables. WordPress staging environment will be updated, I think, soon, because I don't think it's been done yet. We were hoping to have it done by this meeting, but we'll tell you what that is and what it means for you. Creating more usable URLs for documents. There have been several requests by people to have something prettier to share than your URL /WP content /05/07, whatever. So we'll give you a few techniques on how to do that. And then performing a link check on your site. That's been another question we've had recently as well. We have a resource available on our resources page that we will share as well. Would somebody be able to get the door? Because I think that conference is going to generate a little bit of noise. Okay, so let's go ahead and get started. I have to switch screens on here too because I have to be in multiple accounts. So bear with me as I go through all this. One second here. Oh, not that one. Oh, now I got to bring up my other window so that it's available in screen share. So if you use an incognito, oh no, if your windows are minimized on the Mac, it's not selectable as the screen share options. You have to maximize it, which of course on one screen hides the window. It's really
full service training.
That's right. So hopefully everyone online can see this. This is Google Custom Search. After you log in, the initial view you get. If you've not used Google Custom Search before, what it allows you to do is add Google search engine to your site. There are 2 default options in WordPress. Everybody affiliated with WordPress training has told us is not very good in Google Custom Search. So it's kind of our recommended solution. So what I'm going to show you is kind of a big deal because we want to be able to use this and we're trying to figure out how to do it. If you have already set up Google Custom Search on your site, and you want, the issue is turning off ads. So we are a university. Most people don't want to see ads for a variety of businesses in their university web search. If you have already turned off ads in your Google Custom Search, you are okay. You can log in, select your domain. In this case, we have WiscWeb.wis.edu. Under setup, make money, show ads will be turned off. You are sort of grandfathered into their new system. So if you've already done this, you are good to go. If you set up a new domain, blah, blah.wis.edu, which is not an actual domain, but just something I did for testing, you will see under make money, this set of options. The second bullet point. If you are an administrator at an accredited educational institution, please visit Google for Education to register your school with Google for Education. If your school is already registered with Google for Education, please be sure to add your account email address as an administrator account for your Google for Education administrator account. So that means that if you want to now turn off ads, you need to get some sort of process completed through Google. We have a Google account representatives who are working actually with one of our new sites, Jesse's here, to try to figure out how this works on the back end and how we can have this work because it not only affects our service, but it affects anybody else on campus with a wisc.edu address that wants to turn off ads. So when we have an update on this, we will let you know, but this is a fairly new issue and there's things that have to be worked through with Google to figure out how we might best do this. You can still use Google Custom Search with ads, but again, most people find that from a university standpoint, it seems sketchy, I guess, and most people don't want to do that. So when we have something figured out, we will let you know. But this is what you will see for right now.
Just a comment. That
yes.
It will likely involve just a call to help desk or open the ticket, and we'll get you set up with it.
Right.
And it would take a couple of days. Pretty painful.
Right, but it's still it's extra steps that we, wouldn't want to have to do, but might have to. So
if we're in the process of migrating and searching on our website is something a lot of people have asked for, is there somewhere we can get on the list? Or when this is resolved, or?
Do you already have the Google custom search ID in place
I don't think so.
on your current site?
No, you don't have search at all, do you?
Oh.
Okay, so if you want this on your site, what I would say is when we send out the email saying we've got it figured out, it'll likely include instructions to a KB document that will have the instructions you will need to do. So it'll probably be a matter of signing up for an account, getting us some piece of information, and then we'll get it added to whatever thing we need to add it to.
Okay.
So wait for that announcement.
Thank you.
And it's by domain name. So if you have a legacy account, it's not currently in WordPress, but it can come into WordPress. It should be.
As far as I know, so this is our WiscWeb one. We had this set up. Someone emailed me this question, and my response was, well, that's not right. And I was going to send them a screenshot. And then I found this and I was like, well, they're right. This has changed. And Google doesn't have to let us know, but this is the way of the cloud. Things change and we have to react to them. So, okay.
You don't recommend the WordPress version in the meantime?
I don't want to say don't recommend. It's usable, but people who have trained us on WordPress said it's like only use it if you have to.
Okay.
The search results seem to be unreliable and it won't find,
It might end up turning something it can't find, which makes people think it's not there as opposed to.
You may have, again, and I don't know the way it works, it might find hidden pages because it uses the backend of WordPage, so WordPress. So if you have a page that's not linked anywhere, it may find that. So I would, if you have a small site where everything's public, it's probably fine. But yeah, our general recommendation is the Google custom.
Ryan, how long does it take for Google to find your site?
That's a good question. So if you have either a new site or if you change sites, Google takes about, our experience is 2 to 3 weeks to index it. If you do Hostmaster tools, which is another set of Google tools, let's see, Google Hostmaster tools. Webmaster tools, that's what it is. Sorry. Hostmaster, Webmaster. This is another tool you can use. And one of the things you can do is register your domain there. And when your site goes live or when you switch domains, request Google index it. That theoretically will make it show up faster. You're still on Google's timeline. It's there's nothing we can do to speed that process up. Other things you can do that would really help are if you have an existing site, have redirects in place, which we would help you set up. Google search engine will see that you have 301 redirects in place and start faster as well. We don't do redirects for every single one of your pages, but again, if you look at your top 10 or 15 pages in Google search results, we can put those in place. Anything you have published, that'll all start cluing in Google to reindex your site faster along with the request. That's about as fast as you can do it because again, you're still on Google's timeline, so you can switch your site, have it in place, use Webmaster tools to request Google index your site, and that's about as fast as we can have Google do it. Good question.
And having been signed up for Webmaster tools previously or the Google Analytics doesn't mean that search, like having signed up for those previously doesn't exempt you from the new search.
Correct, because Google doesn't know your site changed. So what this does is basically say, go to my site and re-index it, and Google's going to find all your new pages, and then the search results gradually start changing over because they have a lot of those cached.
Right. No, I meant for the custom search. Like having signed up for other tools doesn't.
No, each of
No,
those you have to sign up for
each one is
individually.
different.
Yeah, it's not like there's this web package where you sign up and everything's in one place. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Just checking.
No, it's a good question. Yes.
So I'm looking at my site and all I see is this little search bar. Is that custom search or?
You, I'm almost
WordPress
certain,
search?
have WordPress search.
So that's WordPress.
That's, are you looking at Limnology?
Limnology.
I believe I looked at yours because I was testing this and I was looking for someone with Google search, and I'm pretty sure you have WordPress.
Otherwise it would say Google.
Correct. So WordPress is going to show up in page and look like a WordPress page. There's
Another way you can tell is if you go to your customizer, there's a checkbox that you check to say use Google custom search instead of the WordPress search. So if you
Right.
don't see that checked, then you don't. have
that's
Google search.
within the dashboard that you can go check that. if you, the visual is, now this is what Google looks like. I believe there might be some different options for how this displays, but ours shows up as an overlay of the website and looks like Google.
I like that you can tell Google to search other sites, so if you have a KV. you can
Correct.
also Search that.
There, so that gets into good web practices that we oftentimes don't delve into. Webmaster tools, Google Custom Search, and other things have a whole battery of things available to you. One of them being, I believe, in custom search, you can say, in addition to this search window searching just our site with results, you can say, when someone enters that search term, also search, I don't know, if you're the registrar, go search schools pages or something like that. And that all those results will show up in here as well. Those are things that we often don't get into, and I don't know, we have to have a bigger team and more funding to to do more with. But yes, there's a whole variety of things you can do. If you take
So
the time.
WiscWeb doesn't have Google search either, correct?
No, we do. This is Google. So this is our WiscWeb
You can
site.
see right there underneath, it says search results, it said
Yep.
Google Custom
And
Search.
so this
right
is
underneath it.
You're
powered by
way too
Google.
fast. Will you show it again? Will you?
So this,
Type in again.
so the
So
search
look right there, right
window
underneath,
looks the same as,
At the very bottom.
right underneath there on the bottom left.
Oh, I see it now.
the search window right here looks the same on Limnology, and
Right, that's what threw me off. I'm like, but I had that.
so it
box.
looks the same, right, visually.
Yep,
But when you actually go to the search results screen,
Oh,
yours
it
shows
still
up
looks like
in
WiscWeb.
on a page. That's right.
Okay.
Whereas ours looks, it's an actual overlay.
Got it.
And there might be some options to change this. And there's color options, a whole bunch of stuff you can do. But our goal is just to get you using the tool, and then you're on your own at that point, so more or less.
Students.whisk is one that shows the Google results in page.
So here's an example of showing the results in page. And I believe that that's set within Google Custom
Yeah,
Search, right?
and this
So
is one where it's set to search a few other sites as well.
see if we have any, so here, oh no, these are all students still in the front, but they're it's searching other ones as well, as you're saying.
And not here, but on the WiscED search, we also used, for this context, they had some things that they wanted to show up at the top of the results, so you can create like promotional items that always show up at the top of your page. So that's another benefit of the custom search, is you can kind of promote certain results above all the rest.
If you have questions about Google Custom Search, I would recommend Googling them. But seriously, like, how do I do X in Google search? You're gonna find articles. And as much as we would love to help and sit down with everyone, this is something that's definitely like long-term, something we might support more in depth, but right now it would be, we just don't have the time to, do in-depth, setting up your Google Custom Search to do a variety of different things. Jim, did you have a question or good? Any other questions on Google Custom Search? All right, let me go back to. All right, WP data tables. The update is we don't have much of an update. We updated 2 Mondays ago, or is it this Monday? I
Last
can't
Monday,
remember.
Last Monday.
Last Monday?
Actually, it was last Saturday, we discovered
Okay.
the problem last Monday.
And yeah, when we came in on Monday, various people reported their WP data tables weren't working. For those of you unfamiliar, WP data tables is a plugin that allows you to show data in a tabular format. Let me just pull up our WP data tables page. And you'll see ours are working, and I'll explain that to you in a second. What we found was that most sites were not working. As we were trying to troubleshoot it, it was very difficult for us because ours were working. We were trying to figure out why ours were working and other people's were not. What we found is that sites that were still in test or up until testing, your URL is something.wiscweb.wisc.edu. Those were working fine. Once you went live, you have your own domain. So it's students.wisc.edu or limnology.wisc.edu. And being out of the WiscWeb.wisc.edu domain somehow caused the WP data tables to not work. We're not sure why. Phil is working with the vendor at this point to try to figure out what happened, why this is working this way, and how we can fix it. In the meantime, we've sent out a few emails to both all WiscWeb users or WordPress users, as well as some targeted emails to people who we know are using them, and indicated a couple of potential, at least temporary workarounds to display that there's a tag you can put in to show it as an Excel. So it doesn't look like this, but it looks more like an Excel spreadsheet, and it's not interactive, but it at least will show your data. And those are sort of some workarounds we have that if you're going to end up, if you're not live and you're planning on going live, we can tell you how to do that. If you are live and yours aren't working, you can also email us and we can get you that list. That's sort of a couple things you can do to get your tables displayed until we figure out exactly what's going on and get a fix. So yeah, that's the update. Unfortunately, we don't have anything solved at this point. I don't know, Phil, do you have any more insights or anything else you want to share?
Just say that there's actually two distinct issues. The one that we're seeing, now in production. There's also another set that was, was experienced last Monday, which had more to do with the actual update to the plugin itself. We're trying to get that update out there because all the documentation already has version 2.0. Like you can't find the version 1.7 stuff easily anymore. So now, try to do something in data tables, and now it doesn't make sense, or the button's not where it was, or the order's not the same, whatever. So that was a different issue, but it produced actual PHP errors on the server, which then caused MySQL to get overloaded, and then everything was having a really, really bad day. Everything. In this case, then the second issue, or the second issue besides that one we saw last Monday was this one where something about not being on WiscWeb.wisc.edu as a domain name seems to be a problem. We've got some other stuff too, kind of related things to the UW theme itself, though, is to basically try to look at the queuing that's happening for the footer. Because the problem occurs wherever the advanced processing is identified. So you can specify default advanced processing for data tables to be in the footer, and then the footer is the thing that has a problem. You can specify the header less than the page loads, because the header is then the thing that has a problem. So some combination of that. So we've got some stuff to take a look at there. As far as other things we've had like this before, there were some issues with, I think, an upgrade to Gravity Forms, which kind of sounds like the same kind of thing. Like something about that update to Gravity Forms was going to have an issue, and that's something in the UW theme needed to be updated to try to work around that.
There was a question from Chad about where this is, this WP data tables, where is it not working? Actually, it's working in test, but not in production. So as soon as your site goes live and you're at a non-WiscWeb.wisc.edu address is where we would expect your tables to stop working. So for example, when we do our staging update and have you guys go out and test it, it's very likely all your tables will work just fine because they're going to be at staging dot Kelly sends you here.
Your limnology.
Yeah,
Limnology.staging.
Oh, it's limnology.staging. Okay, so we'll send you the format, but it will be. Let's make sure this works. Your site will exist in the staging environment. If you have WP data tables, because we are still in WiscWeb.wisc.edu, we would expect those tables to work on our staging environment, but would not work in production. So that's what we've identified so far as we work to resolve the issue. It's not, believe me, we're not having fun with this either. So I know it affects you guys, but the fact that we sort of don't have a path forward beyond hoping the vendor can help us.
Well, what we're really trying to do right now is do some additional testing. Typically in a staging environment, you don't have a test URL that's test.wisc.edu. It has WiscWeb in it. And so we're running away with our WiscWeb EDUs and everything's working great. But as soon as we take it out of that, as soon as we, well, it's not WiscWeb.wisc.edu, that's when we see the issue. So we're creating new URLs for the testing environment so we can test that. We're also going to test with a WiscWeb.wisc.edu URL that's not valid for any site to see if just switching the domain itself causes the issue. So we're dealing with a theme possible issue, we're dealing with a WP data tables possible issue, or we're dealing with a domain mapping plugin possible issue. So we're trying to eliminate stuff as we go through. So we're learning all kinds of stuff.
And this, just to reiterate, sometimes I think it's easy. A lot of times we'll get plugin requests from people, and one of the reasons we're either slow to act on them or take our time with them is because when we release something, we try our best to ensure it's going to work with what we're offering. And any update like this that causes it to break, or any development that gets canceled by the vendor, puts the burden back on us to fix it or
Well, at least troubleshoot
or
it.
troubleshoot
You have
it
to
to understand
troubleshoot it.
what's going on. So it's not as simple as just adding plugins to our environment and hope they work, because what we want to deliver to you is something that we can, to the best of our effort, ensure will work, or even with a week or two of troubleshooting, start working again. So any questions on WP data tables? Any other questions? We do apologize for this. We know it's inconvenient for those of you who are using WP data tables. Okay. So since I'm on the Limnology staging site, there will be an update to our staging environment in the next probably day or two, possibly as soon as this afternoon. The purpose of this is to Phil, what's new on staging to test? New version of UW theme?
Will be,
Will be there.
not yet. There's a new version of WordPress, which largely has no difference. Mention that. We've actually had that on staging and test for a week or two now. Because it's all the stuff that they added they weren't security fixes, and they weren't massive functionality changes. There was additional widget, a whole bunch of them worked with a whole bunch of extra widgets, which we don't even really use. UW theme provides most of the functionality that we're looking for.
So the major testing that we're going to have you do is, as this UW theme gets updated, we just want you to go out and look at your sites to see if everything functions the way you think it's supposed to. And if you see anything wrong, like let's say you go to a page and the formatting is weird, tell us so we can take a look at it, or something's not loading the way it does in your production site. That's the type of stuff we're asking
Right.
you to
So
do.
you'll be going to a URL, which we'll give you, and you're going to look at a very recent copy of your website. It may not be exactly, but I think we got a copy from Monday or Tuesday.
It should have been
Wednesday. So yesterday, we grabbed a copy of production yesterday, moved it to staging, so it's going to be recent as of yesterday. And go through your pages, look for formatting that's off, things that aren't the same as on production or as you expect to see them, and report them back to us. We don't expect you will find anything, but this is a key part of the process, because we don't know everybody's site and we don't know what to expect to see there. So we may look at something and say, this looks fine, and you'll say, no, these pictures in production were a lot bigger or a lot smaller, or now they're a 4-column or something like that. So that's an extra piece that really helps us out, rather than have us launch something and then cross our fingers and hope everything's fine. Yes,
Are
question?
you talking about sites that have the WP data table only, or
Nope.
every
Everything.
single site?
Yep.
So that site right there is now my live site?
Nope.
Oh.
So staging is like a test environment.
So
Do
what
I
we-
need it?
You don't need it for anything other than to
We
go
need
in and look at it and tell us if anything's broken
Right.
in it when we tell you.
So
So the UW theme is upgrading, meaning that we're putting some additional features in it, some additional functionality. And what we want to do is have you guys look at this new theme on a copy of your site,
Oh.
so that when we do the upgrade in production, we don't break your site without knowing. Does that make sense?
A little bit. So can you go back to the homepage?
So if you look
Yes.
at the URL on this, it is limnology.staging.wiscweb.wisc.
So I need to go there.
Not yet,
Oh, not yet.
not yet.
Okay.
But what we
we'll
did
send out
is
an email.
Wednesday, we copied your site into staging. So the content that was there as of Wednesday
Right.
is now in staging. Now we're gonna upgrade the UW theme in staging, and then we're gonna say, okay, go look. Now, if there's content missing, there will be if you added it after Wednesday. mostly,
Like
you're-
the photo that
Right.
goes with that thing.
Correct.
Right,
So,
exactly.
So the idea being, if we never upgraded staging, you would be looking at copies of your website months or at this point, months old, that you may not have features, carousels, different pages, etc. So you wouldn't know if the new update affected your site at all. So we copy a very recent copy to staging, update, make all the updates we're going to make, and then have you go take a look and ensure everything is displaying correctly. So it's more of it's a verification that your site, when we do the upgrade to Limnology.WiscWeb, hopefully will not break and look like it does in staging.
And so at some point, when you ask me to go to it, that carousel is going to be moving like it normally moves. It's just not moving now. Normally it moves on its own.
I'll answer. Let me take a look at it after. I don't want
Okay.
to troubleshoot it now, but it may be that when this
Hey,
was
maybe it
copied,
does move on its own and I'm just imagining
That's
that.
why I'm laughing.
I'll look at it later because I don't want to spend too much time on it. But yeah, like what you would do is go
Yeah,
to
tell
your
us
site.
about that.
But right. So what
For
you would do,
example,
what you would do is go to your site and say, oh, I thought that moved, and then go to your live site and say, yeah, it's moving on my live site, not moving here. Send us an
Yeah,
email.
no.
And we'll look into it.
That's exactly.
That's the whole. Right. That's exactly the point of this. Yes.
So let's say we go to staging and we find 10 things that are wrong. You want 10 tickets? You want one ticket? Are we creating emails? Are we creating support tickets?
So you'll
What's the
email
process?
CMS. So it'll be in the email we sent you. It'll be an email to CMS-support. I do it. It'll probably be me taking a look at those first to determine if it is expected behavior, if it's a bug, or if it's something else, and then we will go to some sort of we'll go to the developers and see what we can fix. The other reason we do this is that if we find there's a whole bunch of bugs or things that are going to break a lot of sites, we can back out of a launch date and push that back until those bugs are fixed, so that we aren't on some sort of schedule where we go, all right, in 2 weeks we're going live. Oh no, there's a bunch of issues we need to fix before go live. We're going to push that back 2 weeks or 4 weeks or whatever until those are done, so we don't, break things.
That being said, we do review internally everything before it comes out to you guys. But we just don't want to miss anything. So I wouldn't anticipate there to be any real issues here. It certainly is not going to erase any content that you have. It shouldn't do anything other than maybe just some formatting stuff. To give you an idea, some of the things that have been added are in the faculty staff biography section, adding an add media button. You won't even see that as you're going through this, but it's that type of functionality that's coming. So it really shouldn't affect anything. Everything that before it's even pushed into an update mode, we look at it, we test it, we go through it pretty thoroughly internally. So it shouldn't be an arduous process. It shouldn't be anything that's really difficult. And I would think that it wouldn't be too tough. And so I don't know that there'll be that many issues. There may be, but there shouldn't be.
But if there is more, if you have multiple issues, what do you prefer, one email or multiple emails?
Probably
Each is-
one email,
One email
Yeah.
listing all the issues.
because then what I
We
can
have to
do,
dissect them anyway.
what I can do is go through each one, and then if it's determined to be a bug or something like that, then I'll make a separate ticket for each one in our Jira system.
Some of those might be problems too.
Yep.
You might have 3 things that are actually even though they look different, the underlying cause is exactly the same.
Right.
So then you can make one thing for that. 3 examples.
And this is a reiterate sort of you guys are our best testers. As we mentioned with WP data tables, we looked at this, it looked fine, and because it was gonna look fine because it's in the WiscWeb.WiscEdu domain. Something like that in staging, you guys wouldn't see either, but a lot of other things you're gonna see first before us, because we may look at our site or WiscWeb site or a couple other sites that we know are using functionality, and they look fine. But you guys are using it in a unique way or a different way, and when that doesn't display correctly, letting us know about that is going to be a big help and getting those bugs fixed before updates go live. Any other questions about staging? Okay, I think my next is making more usable URLs for documents. All right, so here is my test page. And in my test page the other day, I added this WP beginners training documentation link. And when published, it looks like this. And if I hover over it way down at the bottom, you'll see what the URL actually is, which is wiscweb.wisc.content/upload/2017/01/WP-beginners.pdf. There is a need to publish URLs that look better than that because you don't want to send that on email. You don't want to put it in a brochure. You might be handing out to students, faculty, staff, etc. So we're going to give you a couple of different ways you can do that. One primary way, and then another way that for more advanced special case type uses. So every media file has a URL, and if you click on the file in your media library, you will get this. This is the URL. So if it is acceptable because you're sharing a document to a colleague and it doesn't matter what it looks like, or you're not having to publish this anywhere, you can just grab this URL, send it to someone, and they'll get that document. You can do this as many times as you want for any file in your media library, and just use this URL. When you want a URL that looks better for publishing, you want to use a documents page for that document. The way you do that is, I have some test ones here, but I'll add another one just to walk through the process. Add a new document. Title. The summary will appear on the page, and I'll show you what that looks like. Summary for documents. I'm going to add the file. So in this case, I'll add alumni list. I think
You don't need
this is, so I don't think you need to add anything here. You can add an extra description here if you want. But this is adding the file is just going to make a link. The excerpt, remember, is if you use, I'm trying to think, like document list or alternating content box, it'll grab excerpts from it. So again, usually not needed for a document. And you notice that when I enter test document, you get a permalink, wiscweb.wisc.edu/documents/test document. So this will now, when I publish this, be a much nicer looking version of that document. And what you see is it will take you to a page now. So that your URL will be whatever your site is, wiscweb.wisc.edu/documents/name of the document. They'll be taken here and they will get a link to download the document. You can also, here's the summary that I put in. Let me just go back real quick and add some text here so you can see how that looks as well. They are in the documents. So in our KB, there should be a page for creating a document. Let me get the right terminology. Page as well as document list. Let me just do a quick. So there is WordPress using document pages. And then once you set up those pages, you can put them in a document called a documents list, which I'll show you in a second on our site. So there are 2 KB articles out there with how to do this. All right, back to here. So this creates this page with this URL. Is that overwrite? Summary? Devs? So if I put in if I have a summary and text area and I publish the page, all I see is text area.
Yeah, the full text is kind of an option where if you wanted to not have, like, a lot of people maybe have like Word documents, but let's say it's 2 paragraphs about your dress code policy. It's a way to say, maybe that doesn't need to be a Word document. Maybe I just put those 2 paragraphs right in that main text. So you kind of eliminate the actual physical document file, and you're really just saying this is a document type. It's like a policy, it's a procedure.
Okay.
It's a way to kind of aggregate those on the site. So it hides the summary because it assumes that you don't need it anymore. Because the summary is a way, if you attach like an Excel file or a Word document, that search engines can't read the contents of. It's a way for people to search and find your documents. So if I use dress code policy as an example, if that's a Word document I put on the page, unless someone searches exactly what that file is called, they're never gonna find it. They search dress code policy, it's never gonna show up if my Word document is called DC_policy_2015. That's no one's ever gonna find or discover by search that that's what they're looking for. So this link doesn't actually generate a link to your document, it generates a link to the page so that they can click on another link to get to your document.
That's right.
It's kind of like a wrapping element. So it's a way to surround your documents with more information.
Right, and it gives you more options to do those sorts of things as well. But it does give you a better publishable URL that'll take people there. People will get the idea that, oh, this is what I need to download.
So the other benefit of using a document list with a document that's downloadable is you can create just a list of documents that when a user clicks on that link in the list itself on a page, it will download the file automatically, as opposed to having to come to this page specifically as well. So you could link someone directly to this page if you wanted to add additional information about the download link. But if you use the document listing page element, and all you had on there was files to download, you could click on the links and it would download those files automatically. So it's just another option for creating, a download, an area for downloading the files.
Right, so this is the document listing. So each document page creates a URL for that page that you can use. You can then make a document listing, which will show, these are those test document 1, 2, and 3 that I already had set up, that you can then use it in a document listing. Things they're useful for, I recommend agendas, monthly meeting minutes, historical documents, so a syllabus that changes every year, things like that. So you could have a list of, imagine meeting minutes by month, and here's August, July, June, etc. And those will be included in that list and published to a page. Question?
Maybe this is too specific on our site. We have what we call a resource library, which was some database that somebody made, lives in a basement somewhere, and we're gonna wanna update that at some point. And it's PDFs and all sorts of documents, and it's got searchable and categories, everything is there. Does WordPress do that?
Potentially, if you made document pages for all of them, those would show up in the search.
How many documents do you have?
Hundreds. I'd have to look at them.
Be another.
We also even use it as a way, almost a lending library. We categorize, we put all like print books we have in, so that we
Sure.
can just search for all these books. So it's PDFs and Word files and lists, like books we have in the office, and we actually use it as a resource.
We should just keep that.
It's old. When we went to the new WiscWeb CMS site, it still has the old pages on it. We were told that they didn't even want to edit that page sort of interface because it was so old. Old from our current website. Click on that.
Might be a way to do. I mean, like, let's say you made a. We should talk.
Yeah.
Definitely talk about it.
I have some ideas already to,
Okay, good.
but we should talk to figure out what your requirements are, figure out if we can do it or not.
Until you said using it to manage lending, I thought either Katie or Box would be.
Right, so if you needed to keep, if only one person had things checked out, I'm not sure exactly what we would be able to, but we may be able to determine if we can do it or if there are other resources that might be better.
There might be better ways to do it.
I think it
So we'd be
was-
happy to talk with you.
Right? Can you
Yeah.
scroll to the bottom of that page?
Yes.
And click on one of those links. That does.
Yes.
And then what's that link? Is that an ugly link or a nice link?
It is an ugly one.
It is an ugly link.
All the file, I think any file that gets linked to always gets the ugly one. You can just make what you send out to people look nicer. Right.
Yeah, for the on-page listing, if you have a document, an actual file attached to that document type, it defaults to link straight to that document. It assumes that people don't want to go to that intermediate step. If you don't attach a file, let's say you put those 2 paragraphs about your dress code policy straight on that page, it'll go to that page, so you view it with.
And if you want to, I think you can add attachments within the Text
It's
area.
a text area, and then there's the.
Yeah,
add.
So
so
I
you can
mean,
do
so
all
if
your
you wanted to
normal-
add your summary information on the page and then link to the document itself out of that page as well.
Right, so what Matt's saying is you could have your text here and then have your full version within the text. So you can see here's your text area with a link to the file as well.
And then my second question was, is it possible to look into a document URL or a URL shortener plugin as far as stuff available out there?
If you are aware of some, send us, you know where to find the plugin request.
Google
That's right.
WordPress URL shortener.
Right.
They're right there.
Yes,
I'm writing it down right now. We're good.
Okay.
I'm actually in the
Turn it
plugin
around
list
on
right
you.
now, so I'm putting it in.
it's easy for me to forget things. That's all I'm saying.
I have a quick question.
Yeah.
I mean, if I'm just sharing URLs, is there a downside to using like go.wis.edu or some other thing? I mean, is there a downside to doing that, or do those ever?
There's not.
They
They don't-
send an email and send a short.
Some people may want the URL to originate from their website, so they know it's part of your site.
Sure.
Go.wis.edu is affiliated with the university
Oh,
in
it's
general. Well, no, it is. It's affiliated with UW, but it's, you may want someone to know that lives at your site.wis.edu. So the URL contains your site.wis.edu/document/.
The other piece of that is depending on how you set that up, if you set it up under your personal net ID and you go somewhere, nobody can change it. Like go.wis.edu,
Right.
the URL, so that's something to keep in mind as well.
Or if you updated the file, you'd have to remember to go back and update your go.wis.edu redirect.
Well, that would happen if you were to change the file name anyway, right?
Yeah. I mean,
It does indeed, yeah.
So before you mentioned that it's Google searchable, by
The
putting a
document
like that.
pages, yes.
So would you guys recommend then putting all the documents that are on our websites into that, so that way it's easier to search? And we're talking about like hundreds, if not thousands of documents, but it's.
I'm gonna defer to Jamie on that. What do you think?
It kind of depends on your specific case and what's in there. This is definitely one way to help make that searchable. Another way, maybe you look at using, if you have lots and lots of documents, maybe converting all of them over is a huge task. Maybe you want to look at something like the knowledge base as a solution to put those in. Because that allows you to put text as well, but it's kind of made for like really large scale things. And that's something, I know we have several places where we and others are kind of looking at ways to pull in knowledge-based documents into your WordPress site. So I think it's very likely that that capability is going to be available at some point, so then you can have a similar page listing, but you don't have to use your site to manage those documents. So it probably just depends on how many and how often you need to update them, and what kind of interface makes the most sense for you.
Jim, did you have another question?
I was just thinking, if you have a page and you just put a document, like a PDF in the page, and you update the PDF, the link on that page would be different than with the new PDF. There's a different file name or whatever, right?
You do
Yeah.
not do enable media replays.
But if you create a document, then the link, and you put that document link on a page, the link on the page is essentially never gonna change, because you're gonna change the PDF in the document, when you change the PDF, change the link on the page. So, like somebody said, you have to click 2 links to get to the actual document, but that could actually be a benefit if you wanna be able to change it without actually
Correct.
changing the.
Correct.
The inspiration for this was some of the units on campus that like, here's our annual report, and they put it out, and then some partner looks at it and says, oh, can you change this paragraph? And change it, and it becomes version 2, and then it's a different link, and then they have to send emails to everyone who's linking to it and say, okay, your links, it's version 2 now. This is a way to say, my site, now I said /annual report, and then you can have version 2, 3, 4, 5, 20, kind of cycling. Yeah.
Any other questions on making beautiful document URLs? Okay, our last agenda item for the day. I've had several people request how to do link checks on their site to see what broken links they have. There are some plugins within WordPress that I think we've looked at briefly, but they aren't as thorough as we would expect them to be or want them to be. So what we have in our resources tab, resources, other resources, is a website that will do a broken link check. As far as we can tell, there's no ads or anything else that's happening here that you need to worry about. And I did this a couple times on our site. You can enter your domain, find broken links. You get to complete this totally accessible security code. I read it correctly, I think. Yes, and then it's going to go through and crawl your site. It's somewhat slow, so get this running in the background and keep working until it's done. But then this will report any links that are broken on your site, and this is what we're recommending for right now. There are other tools. You are welcome to use Google to go search and find and do this. We use a desktop tool that's a little more robust, but it's a little more user hostile, I would say. It's you have to know what you're doing and what the different menu options are, or else you're not going to get results, or it may not run the scan on your site. It'll just stop after one link, and you have to know what to enter in there. But this is what we're recommending for right now. So you can see it found a broken link, and this is what that'll look like. It will show you the URL. So this is a brown bag recap that has a broken link that we need to update. So yeah, it'll just generate a list.
What site is it?
It is called brokenlinkcheck.com, and it is in our other resources on the WISC website. So if you forget, just go to WiscWeb.wis.edu, resources, other resources, and it is the second option. Yes.
If we're in the process of moving, can we do this before we go live?
Yeah, you just did you'll do it on
Yeah,
your
on
WiscWeb.wis.edu
Yes,
site.
correct.
Yeah, I just wanted to make
Yep,
sure
so that's one of the other benefits is that you can run this on your test site. Yeah. You could also run it on like your existing site if you want to see if there's pages that have broken links that you want to have updated ahead of time or something.
Right, and that's one of those things that makes sense too, is that, so current state, how many broken links do I have right now? It's like if I have 15, and then I go live and I still have 15, I've done a really good job. It's exactly the same. Maybe I should go fix those, but at least it's the same.
Or fix them before you go live. maybe.
Yeah, well, just so you know, it's,
So 0 and
It is
0
what
would
it-
be a
yeah.
better.
right, it is exactly in the state that it was previously. Failing to run one before you go live, you might be like, oh my God, there's so many new broken things. Like, well, maybe they weren't all new. So there's a bunch of the broken links. It's like, that's not you. That's like other people's stuff changed. They didn't tell you. You know, so.
Yeah.
One other thing that I'll point out is that we've had several requests in the last few weeks to add users to a project. You can do that. This is one of the great features of WordPress that we've streamlined that process. As a matter of fact, getting us involved will only slow you down. You can have whoever you want to add to the project go to the WP admin site and log in. That will create a subscriber account for them. And then once you do that, you can go to your user list. Creating the subscriber account adds them to our system, and add new, you'll get a screen like this, and existing is right here. So I don't know if I'll show up because I'm already in the project. Jim, what's your net ID? J.E. Vogel?
J.E. Vogel 2. That was not the first.
No, you have
Just
to.
do
The main
vocal.
WISC website, it might have everyone already in there.
Oh, you're right. You're right. Because we're on the main WISC. Sorry. Let's go to. Sorry, I would just like to show this real quick so you can see what it looks like. So they will then show up as a user like this, and then you can add their role to either editor or administrator, depending on what you want them to do. Getting us involved, we can do this, but we will ask them to go to the site, log in, and then just do this step anyways.
And then-
And depending how busy you are, it might take a day or two. So yeah.
The other thing you want to do is skip that confirmation email. That way they're just automatically
Right.
added to the project. If you send them a confirmation email, then they actually have to click on the link in email to confirm that it's okay to add them.
So yeah, that's come up a couple times, and like I said, we can do it. We're happy to do so, but it'll be faster if you guys can do it yourselves. So
The most important part of this process is to have them go to WiscWeb.wis.edu and log in first.
creating the account makes things that much just so much better.
Can they be students?
Anyone with an ID? Yeah.
Excellent. Oh, and we have these student logins that aren't like regular emails. Can we use those?
I don't think we can use subscriber accounts.
You know,
or
I don't even know.
Service
what
accounts.
this
I mean.
Yeah.
Have to be individuals, right?
Because often we prefer to do it that way, so that all students can use that same.
Sure.
If it has the ability to log in with a NetID,
Service
if you-
accounts can be,
they can be.
they can be used for NetID login, but we tend to not want that.
However,
Can we-
if those service accounts have like an underscore in the name or something
Yeah.
like that, it won't work in WordPress. WordPress does not recognize the underscores as special.
That would be one of the
Jesse works on Office 365, so he's literally the expert in the room.
It's
So.
become the alternative identity.
We recommend actual people because if you walk back through, well, something happened to the site and we can identify
Yeah.
the following user, edited, deleted, modified, etc. You now don't necessarily know who that is. As opposed to, I know it was actually the student because that's
Well,
actually their name.
We kind of do, but that doesn't matter.
I don't know. I think we see the skip confirmation email because we're network admins. I don't think they get that option. So Becca just pointed that out in the chat.
Okay.
Yeah. So yeah, that check is there for us because we're network admins. It won't be there for you. A
Okay.
person will receive an email to let them know that you have added them to the project, and they'll just click on a URL that is within there, which essentially is the confirmation of
Okay.
their addition to the
Right.
project.
Thank you
I think
for
it
the.
expires in a couple weeks, so if the person doesn't click the link in like 2 weeks, you have to do
Do it
it again.
Thank you for the question about that. Also, some of the questions we had today, specifically about your SEO questions and stuff like that, those are good questions. Those are the things you should be thinking about as you set up your site. Do I need document pages or can I just link to the documents? Do I want these searchable or not? These are very good questions. And, we're the WiscWeb team really focused on the technology, but there's so much more to what's going on here and they're good questions to ask. So we have 8 minutes. So if anybody else has any questions, we can do those.
Is it possible to link to the same page and multiple menus on your site? So one of the things that we had in open text was, since you could call content blocks from any page, we had 2 pages that were very similar calling the same block, and now I'm trying to manage the menus
Are
around the site.
they a menu? So they're a series of links essentially?
Well, it's actually it's a page,
Yeah,
and
you just-
previously it was 2 pages that were calling the same text block. And I'd like to not have to update each page singularly, and I'm fine with just linking to one, but I want the page to display in both menus.
You can add, yeah, you
You
can
just
add.
add that page
Yep.
to your menu.
Okay,
So
just, you can add it a second time?
Mhm.
Okay.
I have a question.
Yes.
Media library.
Yeah, your media library question.
So I'm wanting to delete all this crazy media that was moved over that we no longer use. And so I can go to media library, is what we were talking about. And then I click on it and put it in a certain view. And then I click on, what's the thing called up there?
All right. So what you're looking for is the uploaded to field, right?
Upload it
This-
to.
Okay. So
I want to know if a piece of media if I used it
Right.
somewhere.
So within media library, to determine if a piece of media is being used by a page or not, there's a field called uploaded to. There are 2 ways to access that. The first is go to your media library. You have 2 different views you can look at. I think grid is by default.
Mhm.
You can look at any individual piece, click on the little pencil, and you will see uploaded to show up in the right-hand menu. This page has been uploaded to the 404 error page, so this one is in use. A potentially faster way is to click on list view, where uploaded to is actually one of the fields. And you can see that this one, for example, Boston meeting, this might be something we grabbed from somebody else's website to test, is unattached. So you can actually sort probably by unattached, and now you can see a list of all of your unattached.
And that worked lovely.
Okay.
Until and this was another good way to find broken links, because unattached showed up, here were all these newsletters. And I'm like, well, they should be not unattached. So I attached them. And regardless of what I do, they still show unattached.
These some of the things. So you think you're attaching these media library
Oh, I know for a fact. I did.
items and they're linked, but they're still showing up as unattached.
And they totally show as unattached, which makes me concerned, as you well know.
So
Trust the word unattached.
can you then send me an email
I did.
with, oh,
I think we
For-
have this in our
well-
list of things we're looking at.
Because
Yeah.
you answered the question, and I said, oh, this is great, and so I went and started doing it, and that's where I was like, oh, these newsletters. So I attached them, thinking, okay, now when I click upload it to and get them sorted, but there they are still.
I'm pretty sure we have that in our list
Yeah,
of things.
and
we're
so I
trying to
sent that
figure
right
out.
back, yeah,
so I will verify that that is on our list of bugs to look into.
yeah, because otherwise I can't use this, I can't use this.
Right.
Yeah,
So, and then we'll figure out why that's happening and hopefully fix it. So, thank you.
sounds good.
Did we determine, is the attach or the uploaded to thing, the useful bit of information about, was this something that was uploaded inside of ACF?
I don't know.
Okay, because I thought the, basically the disconnect we had is that as soon as we started using ACF inside of UW theme, not necessarily everything arrived at being attached.
That is a
So,
correct statement. I don't think we know which is which yet, so.
Okay.
So we're.
The other thing to think about is that these are PDFs, and so in order to attach them, I have to get the URL and link to the URL as opposed to a
Are
page.
you in a post? Are you attaching this in a post? Because you didn't have the add media button in a faculty biography maybe?
No, it's just in a list of newsletters. I'll show you that.
Yeah,
Yeah, show me.
if you've sent, so we have a meeting right after this, but if you've sent us like an example, then we should be able to figure that out and I can ask questions. Any other questions?
I apologize for messing up the permissions on everybody yesterday for about a half hour. That was me. Staging, so it was not editable. You know where you are when you run something.
Also, I will say, two people, Sarah being one of them, reported it probably within minutes of it happening.
Instantaneously.
And we had it fixed within about a half hour. So thank you for reporting things like that because our accounts were unaffected. So I had no idea anything was going on. We were
I'm just trying to
great.
get the website live, so I'm in there all the time right now.
So thank you for reporting those. If you know, sometimes it's easy as user to be like, oh, something's probably not working. I'll just wait until later.
No, tell us right away.
If you say that,
Yeah.
right, and go
Yep.
Originally, I thought it was somebody else, like we were going back and forth on a page. So I thought, oh, she must still have it open for editing and
Sure.
it's not letting me in. And then she said, no.
And that's how we had two emails come in with about 30 seconds each other. And I said, okay, there's no way I would get both of these emails within 30 seconds unless something's wrong. So
Right, and Ryan was like, hey, Phil, there's something wrong with it. I'm like, no.
all right, we'll wrap it up 3 minutes early. If there's no other questions, we will be available for a couple more minutes. Otherwise, send those questions to CMS support. We'll send a link to the brown bag out, and then we'll have a newsletter coming out again in about 2 or 3 weeks at the end of the month. To get back on track with that. So we'll let you know when we have an update to Google search, WP data tables, and anything else. So thank you.
I want, I'm trying to make sure that, you know.
Yeah, the quality that
A support person.
I have it right here.
Who would I talk to?
So if you go to